We are looking at Math 150, Appendix A, Section 7. We're going to start out with a review of rationalizing the denominator, which only contains one term. If you remember, if you have a square root, what you're looking at is to make that denominator a perfect square. So in this particular instance, we're going to need to multiply by the square root of 2. Whatever I do in the denominator, I must do in the numerator. Square root of 2 over the square root of 2. That makes that in the denominator, I'm going to have the square root of 2 times 2, which is 4. In the numerator, I have the square root of 2 times 1, which is just the square root of 2. So what I end up with is the square root of 2 divided by 2. The second one that we're going to talk about in terms of rationalizing the denominator is rationalizing a denominator that is a binomial. Now that's something that we're going to be much more interested in as time goes on. Probably the more important of the concepts. Now in order to do that, what we're going to need to do, we're going to use something called the conjugate. Now if you remember what the conjugate is the same thing, that same binomial, only a minus instead of a plus. In this particular instance, it comes from the difference of two squares because we need the inner and outer terms to add the zeros. So in this particular instance, I'm going to multiply the numerator and denominator by the conjugate. The conjugate, which is the square root of 7 minus 2, square root of 7 minus 2, so that what we're going to end up with is the square root of 2 times the square root of 7 minus 2 divided by square root of 7 times the square root of 7, square root of 49. Inner is 2 square roots of 7. Outer is minus 2 square roots of 7. That adds to 0. Minus 2 times 2, which is going to be 4. So I'm going to get the square root of 2 times the square root of 7 minus 2 divided by square root of 49 is 7 minus 4, which is the square root of 2 times the square root of 7 minus 2, all over 7 minus 4 is 3. Now that's a perfectly good answer, so we could leave it that way until we determine what we're going to need to do with it. Or what I could do is multiply the square root of 2 through. Square root of 2 times square root of 7, square root of 14, minus 2 square roots of 2, all over 3, which is another perfectly acceptable answer. Either one would be fine.